I guess my main motivation is my eternal love for music. So I've always been interested and influenced by electronic music from the very beginning. The first time I was exposed to electronic body music probably was somewhere beginning of the 80s, when I discovered bands like Clinic, Front 242, Neon Judgment, and stuff like that. So, and yeah, it immediately caught my attention, and I was really blown away by it. And yeah, it was the main motivation for me to start my own project and do something like these bands. For me, it has to be electronic body music because it's the music I like most. So I could easily do some other electronic styles, but electronic body music is the kind of music in which I feel most comfortable with doing. I don't think Axis of Evil is a reaction to the future pop trend. On the contrary, actually, because I wanted to prove that electronic body music is not dead, and that's my main intention with making Axis of Evil. Trying to make a club-minded album, but proving that electronic body music is not dead, and yeah, without any compromises. So I'm not really bothered with the future pop trend, but it's not really my style of music. And what actually bothers me is that people nowadays start to compare everything with future pop. I even know that some people are telling that Suicide Commando is future pop these days. So for me, I don't make future pop, so for me it's still electronic body music, and it will always be. Axis of Evil is actually taken from the speech of US President George Bush during his State of the Nation, in which he actually declared war against all terrorists and violent nations like China, Iraq, Korea. Nothing wrong so far, but what he didn't mention is that he's actually using the same methods than these terrorist nations tend to do. The song Evildoer is directly linked to the concept behind the Axis of Evil album, along with a few other tracks like One Nation Under God. Yeah, another concept on the Axis of Evil album is suicide in all its forms. I've always been fascinated by suicide, or more specifically what's going through the mind of people who are planning to commit suicide, or people that don't see any future or whatever. I'm really fascinated what's going through their minds, why they commit suicide, and what's going through their minds the few minutes or the seconds before they do the final act. Nobody actually really attacked me for using the name Suicide Commando, but sometimes you get strange reactions from people. I do remember being at the airport last year when we had to do a concert in England, I think, and went through the radar system. I had a big Suicide Commando sticker on one of the cases, and yeah, you should have seen the faces from the people working there. So at that time they were laughing with it, but it was only a few weeks before September 11th. definitely takes longer to write and record a song now than it used to have a few years back. So I still remember writing a song like See You in Hell in 2 or 3 hours. Today this is unthinkable, so now I spend 2 or 3 weeks writing one song. I don't know if there's any specific instrument that creates that special sound. I think it's more me that creates this sound. It doesn't have to be one particular synthesizer. It can be the GPA 1000, but it easily also can be the Axis Virus. So it depends on the way I work with these instruments. Making music on computer is fun because you have so many more possibilities these days with working on PC. You can make an album from the very beginning till the very last recording now at home if you want. But it's totally different from the way I used to work in the beginning back in the 80s. So I had no computer or Atari or anything else. So all I had was one keyboard with a sequencer and a drum machine, and that was it. So my very first songs were not more than 4-track recordings. And yeah, it's a whole different way of working, and I actually like both ways. As I said, working on PC gives you so much more possibilities, but on the other hand, you also lose spontaneity. Yeah. I'm not sure what the secret is behind the development of the success of Suicide Commando in the clubs, but I guess it has to do with the simplicity of my tracks. So I think every track has its own typical Suicide Commando sound and typical sequence that is easy to remember. And I think people who go to a club to dance are not really interested in complicated song structures or whatever. I think a very simple melody or a very simple sequence sometimes is way more important than 1,000 song structures in one single song. I more see success like a knife cutting both ways. So of course it's nice to have success and to get recognized or whatever. But the disadvantage of success is that you rather become public property, and people always expect more from you, and they're coming with 1,000 more obligations when you gain more success. So time is getting a big problem, actually. I think playing live is part of Suicide Commando, is part of the whole thing. So, and I actually like both ways. So I like working in the studio, working on new material, but I also like being on the road and doing live concerts, and getting in touch with the crowd, and getting feedback from the people. It's also very important for me. I like to be in close contact with the audience, and this is a feeling you can't get when you're only working in your studio, because you're actually totally closed from the outer world. You don't get any feedback at all. Everybody's suffering because of the CD piracy at the moment. It's actually very sad, because in a way these people copying Suicide Commando CDs from the internet actually stole my future or stole my dream, because biggest dream I had was making music my profession. And in these days it's way too risky to quit my job and start making music professionally, because sales have dropped so drastically. So in a way, all those people copying and copying my music or anybody else's music, they're stealing our future. I'm not sure how long I will continue, but as long as it makes fun to write music, I probably will continue until I probably drop dead or something. And as long as Mick Jagger or Tina Turner can shake their ass on stage, I can do it as well.